Hi, everyone. I'm Doreen Redmond with AARP North Dakota, and I'm so glad you've joined us today for the Passport to Healthy Living Immune Support Cooking class. We are so pleased to be able to bring these events to you safely in your home, and we're coming to you from our homes, so we hope you enjoy this time together. For more than 60 years, AARP has been working hard to promote the health and well-being of Americans and those of us 50 plus. And one of the ways we can do that is by bringing you these kinds of events and talking about things like immune support cooking. So we're thrilled today to have with us Karen and Duane Ehrens from Bismarck. There they are. They're uniquely qualified because Karen is a registered dietitian and Duane is a chef, and they are just a great professional duo for us to bring together to talk about immune support cooking. Welcome, Karen and Duane.
Yeah, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Doreen. Thank you so much to AARP and all of our friends out there, ones that we know and ones we haven't met yet.
Awesome. Well, why don't you guys start by telling us a little bit about your background and how you got into cooking and nutrition and all of the wonderful things that we're going to talk about today.
Great.
Go ahead.
I'm actually, I started in Wahpeton Science School with cook and chef degree from Wahpeton, and then I moved on to Minot and ended up working at the Boys Ranch out of college. And then I worked there for a few years, and we moved down to Bismarck here, and I've worked in various jobs. I've worked long-term care. I currently work at Augusta Place as a PRN. I help out there. And then my current job is at Good Road Treatment Center. MHA built one up north of Costco. And I'm food service manager there. I was a food broker for a while, so I've been in the food business a long time. Do have a business management degree from Minot State while I was in Minot. So we are happy to be here, and thank you for AARP for sponsoring this and allowing us to do this.
That's awesome.
Right. Yeah, Duane and I met in Minot shortly after I finished my study and dietetic internship. I worked briefly in healthcare, but knew that my heart was in helping people prevent diseases rather than working with people after they become ill. But I want to give a shout out to all our medical professionals at this time who are working really hard in our medical facilities in North Dakota and across the U.S. and thank them so much for their work. My interest in helping prevent diseases led me to work for the Department of Public Instruction for a few years and helping make school meals healthier. And after our daughter was born, I decided to start working from a home office, and I've been consulting with public health, agriculture, and currently working with creating a Hunger-Free North Dakota coalition.
Awesome, Karen. It's a pleasure to work with you and a number of different committees, and you're always such a hard worker and doing such a great job. But one thing I am going to ask you, of you, Karen, when you speak up just a little bit more when you talk, I'm getting Duane's voice loud and clear, but I need a little more Karen. So we're going to turn it over to you two, friends of mine, and I'm just so pleased to have them with us today. And they're going to show us some good ideas for, you know, cooking all these wonderful, healthy foods, fresh vegetables, fruits, whatever it might be. I can't wait to hear more. So I'm going to turn it over now to Karen and Duane, and we'll look forward to hearing from you.
Great, thanks, Duane.
Thank you.
Duane maybe starts with getting this onion ready. I'll talk just a little bit about a few basic principles here. We know that there's people watching who are gourmet cooks. We know there are people watching who don't really like to cook. And we know there are people watching who are maybe getting tired of cooking. We hope to bring some fresh ideas to each one of you today. And we know there are people who don't have to worry about getting enough food. We also recognize there are people who may be struggling at this time to get enough food. And so with that, we've tried to bring you a bunch of choices that could work for most any budget today. And we just encourage you to do what you can with what you have, where you're at. Today we're going to talk about some layers of protection and layers of flavor. And Duane, why are you starting with this onion for the soup?
So I'm going to build this the soup up. We're going to add the onion there and roast it a little bit so that the onion's going to get a little bit of sugar, to extract sugar out of it, to get more flavor into our soup. And then we're going to go into our garlic. I have garlic here too, so we'll start with the onion. Just kind of getting it. I like to take this bottom part and I just compost that. So I pretty much dice it up. You can slice it depending on more bite size. The more surface you have, the better caramelization you'll get with the onion. I do have started already. We started the onion already in the bottom of the pan, so we got that going. So we'll get the soup going. We're going to add our garlic. We have a couple different things that you can do. You can use fresh garlic. We do have some fresh garlic here. It calls for three cloves, which is three toes. So 3 of these guys. So we'll just go ahead and take that out. I'll show you how to use that. Or you can use we get regular garlic too, already minced up for you too. So if you want to use that, that's fine too. The recipe's set up for that. But to clean these, we're going to lay it on the board and give it a good wrap, and then get the skin off. It'll help with the skin.
So if you're feeling frustrated in the kitchen, pounding on garlic is one way to release some of your frustration.
So yeah, we'll take the skin off there, so the skin will be all done for you, ready to roll. And then at this point, going to culinary school, we didn't have these fancy presses that you have now, these garlic presses. We had to do this by hand, so we had to actually slice it by hand. So we would slice it into pieces, and then once you get at a certain point in the strips, then we'll go across of it, and then you have to work it into a pile. So I'll get this over here a little bit more. So kind of work it around, so getting it into mince. So we're going to mince it down. So think about that for a minute. Otherwise, you get a nice garlic press. It doesn't take that long at all, and you already have it minced. So it's pretty fast.
So the thing about garlic and onion is that they're good for you. The more flavorful and strong flavored foods like onion and garlic you can add to your diet, the better it tastes, which is the great benefit, and also getting some more nutrients there. The recipe that we're sharing with you today, you can use the onion and garlic or not. If you're in a hurry or you don't have those ingredients on hand, you can leave that out. But to add extra protection, extra layers of protection for the immune system, and extra layers of flavor for your palate, please put those in.
Well, definitely. Then, when you do this, when you press this actually intensifies the garlic flavor by about 10 times. So if you see different recipes, they'll have sliced garlic, or just regular minced, or just cut garlic pieces. We're going to roast. We have some roasted garlic for our squash. That'll actually mellow that flavor out. So that'll be nice with our squash recipe. So with the soup recipe now, we're just going to add the rest of this garlic to it, and then we'll start. You'll have to saute it a little bit. We already started a little bit. We're going to speed it up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and add our spices to it. So we're going to use some dry spice. So before you start, you might want to make sure that you got 2 teaspoons of dry Italian parsley. Go ahead and give this a good crunch with your hands, and you can smell that. You can tell if your spices are good or if they're been in a cupboard for a little while. It gives you good flavor. It lets enhances the flavor releases it of your dish.
Yep, and if you got when you got married, if you got some herbs and spices 20 or 30 years ago and they're still in your cupboard, it's time to switch those out, Doreen.
Hey, that's funny. Yeah, that's true. Hey, we've got the recipe up on the screen. So if people are watching and they want to either take a photo of the recipe, that would be one option, a way to capture it, or do a screen print of your phone if you're watching on your mobile device. But we'll also have them on our Facebook page later so that you can check them out then as well. But we wanted to make sure that we provided these wonderful recipes that Karen and Duane, they're originals of theirs. So they're sharing them with us and with the audience here today. So thank you. I'll pop back out and let you move on. Very
good. Thanks, Doreen. We're going to start by, this is basically a quick have on hand soup. So we're going to, if you have tomatoes, if you can your own tomatoes, that'd be great. We're going to use a fire roasted tomato in here, so we're going to dump that in there after our spices. And then we're going to add a chicken broth to it and some beans.
So Duane said fire roasted because that's, again, adding another layer of flavor. Roasting vegetables brings out the natural flavor, and they do come available in cans. Or like Duane said, if you can your own tomatoes, it's a great chance to use those.
Yeah, and today is going to be kind of with our recipes. We'll be able to build levels of flavor for you with the recipe. I'll show you a few things later on variations, but this is very basic soup. You can add other things too if you like, but some white cannellini beans, and then so we used you can use a chicken broth from a box, or you can make your own chicken. We have a chicken base here to use, and then basically we're going to add some pepper, so fresh pepper to it. And then some salt, a little bit of salt, not much to taste. And then that will go on the stove. We'll add our vegetables. We have frozen vegetables, so we'll add our frozen vegetables with that. So we have, I mean, we don't have frozen vegetables here, but we can actually go ahead and dump them in there, and we'll put it on the stove.
Dump those in on the stove. So you can, having on hand, you can use, if you like black beans and you have them on hand, you can use those. If you like cannellini beans, you can use those. If you have a California blend vegetable, you can use those, or a San Francisco blend, or even maybe just 1 pound package of a single type of frozen vegetable. Any of those will work. Whatever you have on hand, whatever you like to eat, use those.
All right, let's finish up here. I'm going to get that going. We're going to start into our squash recipe. I'll go ahead and transfer over here. We'll go ahead and get our squash over here. I already started some onion here for our squash recipe. A little garlic in there will be good too. Okay, let's move this out of the way here.
Okay, doing a little switcheroo for you.
Great. Looking wonderful. Yeah, so the soup recipe, hopefully everyone captured that. That looks wonderful. I like the idea of using some frozen vegetables because that's something we always have in the freezer ready to go. You might not have all the fresh stuff all the time, but nice to have that tip. So
yeah, and you can have, if you have your own, like I said, if you have your own canned vegetables, canned tomatoes, things like that, you can use those in this too.
Sure.
In the winter time. So very good. So we're going to get started on this. So what I did, we're going to use a butternut squash. It's a butternut squash recipe, and we're going to roast it. It's going to be an herb one, so we'll follow down the recipe. We're going to do the basic squash recipe to start with. So what we have here, what I did is I used the fork and to actually poke holes in the squash, put it in the microwave for 3 minutes, and it softened the skin a little bit. So now to peel this, now we're going to go ahead and cut the end off. So both ends. So this end here, bottom end, and then the top. And then there's different ways to go about this. You can cut it lengthwise. Lots of times you do it either way. Generally, I'll do is I'll cut the lengthwise. Use a sharp knife. It's much easier now with the squash. It's softened enough so that you can get into it, because otherwise it would be really hard to cut. So you cut it in half like so. So then we'll have the seed pockets here. What we're going to do is we're going to cut the bottom off like this, so you can have a flat surface to work off of. You can either do that, or you can leave it put it on its end too, like this, and then you can cut down with a paring knife or regular knife if you want, like this. And then I do have peelers. So we can use a peeler, a couple peelers, different styles, a regular peeler, and then this is one offset peeler to peel the skin off. And you want to get it down to the orange color. So right down to the orange, past that yellow part there. So basically, like so.
Well, the nice thing about the butternut squash that we like to encourage people to eat more of is People in the United States don't eat enough vegetables, so eating more colorful fruits and vegetables is a way to help support your immune system. These bright orange, yellow colored vegetables are a signal that they have good sources of the provitamin A or beta carotene, as it's called, a good source for those. We also think that the texture of butternut squash after it's roasted has a really chewy and comforting flavor. It's a comfort food that's good for you. These days, a lot of us are turning to comfort foods more, and this is a comfort food you can turn to that you can feel good about. When you get to be older, past 50, it's said that every bite counts, because as our metabolism slows down a bit, we need to make food choices that get us the most nutrient bang for our buck. Things like fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and then the herbs and spices are all choices that we can make to support our immune system. So that's why we wanted to share this recipe and variations with you.
So finishing up there, we're going to get this prepped for slicing part. We're going to slice it now into chunks. So I got a little composting bin here in the sink here. We compost at home, so do that. So I'm going to cut this into chunks now. So we'll cut this in thirds. So one, and then down into third like this, and then into the bite-sized pieces. So if you want to, they already have squash already cut for you in the store. So you can get these butternut squash already come cut for you. So if you would rather omit this part of it and go that route, you surely can. But it's nice to have a good fresh squash. And the recipe is, so I like to try to get a flat surface here. So to make sure that we're cutting it and slicing okay, so we're safe for our safe purposes. Get a flat surface. So, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to accumulate 3 cups. So I've got a bowl right here for it.
That looks great, Duane. We showed the recipe a little bit ago for the basic squash recipe, and it really looks nice and simple, and
Yes.
and I love your variations. I know you're going to get into those, but this is wonderful. It's a beautiful
Yes,
squash.
it's very good. It's a nice locally grown squash. So, and then for the bottom part, if you like, you can just go ahead and cut this part off, and then you can trim it out with a spoon. You get a spoon and just clean it out. And then you can use that part also. So we'll cut this other end off here. This is a quicker way to do this thing. Cut this end off. We'll use this other half. I'm pretty close to being about 3 cups here. So.
Okay, we have a question that just came in about, is this squash the one that's the softest and the best to use? Like the vegetable peeler, that was just awesome, but I really like the tip about the microwave and softening it, because I'm almost scared to cut a squash. Sometimes they're so hard to cut, you know?
Yeah, they can be. They're
Yep, so your butternut is one of the softer skinned squashes compared to your Buttercup, always get it mixed up, Buttercup,
yeah.
or acorn squashes. And again, that cooking technique and putting them in the microwave will work also for these, because I know for some folks trying to get these little guys cut open, a lot of us enjoy these at Thanksgiving time, with brown sugar and melted butter, and nothing wrong with that. But there's lots of things you can do with squash once it's cooked, right, Duane? What are some things?
Well, you can actually add this. It's nice because it's once you get it roasted, you already have it prepped for the next couple meals. That's kind of nice with these, is that you can use it in pastas. Add it to pasta, soft pasta. You can add it to some wild rice dishes, salads. You can roast and put it in a salad. It goes really good with other cheese and vinaigrettes and things like that. Lemon and some balsamic goes good with that.
So here's a shot of some of the squash that's been roasted off, and if you can get up to the camera, you can see that it's just got this beautiful texture and flavor, and use it in all those things that Duane talked about.
Okay, so I have it squared up now. I flattened it out good, so we have a good square piece. So we'll keep the chunks about the same size. So about an inch thick. Add it in there. So that's getting to be about 3 cups there. Now this is about 3 cups right here now, I think. So just by eyeballing it, and so we'll be good.
Yep. So again, very simple. And then the thing about boosting our immune systems is that there is not one thing that we can do, but there are many things that we can do. In the United States, we're always looking for a silver bullet or something, but it's the many choices that we make day in and day out that help support our immune system. And it's not just about food. It's also about drinking enough fluid. It's also about trying to get enough sleep. And it's also about being outside and being physically active, because being physically active is definitely another thing that you can do. It has to go hand in hand with good eating. So eating well, making good food choices that count, and being physically active are really good ways to support your immune system.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and add the next portion of the recipe. We're going to add our lemon, or actually our olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, so 2 tablespoons. So toss that, boil that in there, get that tossed. So we're going to use a little bit of salt on here. I got some fresh salt, kosher salt here, so add a little salt to it. You can either do it in the bowl, or you can do it on the sheet pan. You can sprinkle it on the sheet pan with the seasoning, whatever you like to do. And then we're going to, on this recipe, we're going to go ahead and use some fresh herbs. We got a couple of fresh herbs. We got fresh rosemary, and we have fresh thyme. So about 1 each of those. So with those, you can see the stem here. Grab the top of it, and then when you want to go ahead and peel those, if you've not used this before, go ahead and put your hand in like so, and slide it down so you have it comes out in your hand. So then you will chop that. That'll be about, one large stem will be about 1 teaspoon. Now the thyme is a little bit easier, so it takes a little more time, as they said, but at least we'll get it. We'll put a little bit into a bowl here. So same principle. So slide it down like so. And if you wanted to go ahead and use fresh, it'd be less fresh. So more of the so it'd be like on the recipe for the herbs, it's going to be a half teaspoon or dry of the thyme. So half teaspoon versus a full teaspoon. Rosemary, they're more pungent herbs, so you got to be careful of. If you like them, you can put more in, but lots of times you can overpower your dish.
And in the interest of time, we wanted to show you what this basic recipe looked like when we used the recipe variation called herb roasted squash. So that's with about 3 cups of squash and an onion, the rosemary, thyme, salt, and pepper. And then when we're done, we could also add to it roasted garlic.
Wonderful.
So yeah, and I already have the onion chopped, so we got that ready to go. That can go in there. A little bit of garlic in there. You can use garlic if you'd rather not use the roasted garlic. You surely can roast garlic in with the squash itself. You can use the jar from the jar. You can use fresh, either way, or you can use the roasted, which gives it more depth and level of flavor that you would look for your squash dish. It's creamy and it's nice buttery flavor to it.
That's great. And we're showing the recipe right now with the squash variations so that you can see that you take that basic recipe. I love how you guys did this. And then you've got an herb roasted variety or variation, honey roasted, and spiced roasted. I love that spice roasted idea. I've never thought of curry and garam masala together with squash. That sounds wonderful. So thank you for that idea.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's nice it's a little something unique. You can add that also too. There's different ways you can do. You can do a topping. There's a honey recipe on there, but also you could use maple if you wanted to, since the holidays is coming up. Maple with roasted pecans on there on your squash after. Mix that together. You can use some. I have some craisins here too, so cranberries, or you can use cherries, dried cherries. So, and then with that same one too, you could also use, if you like, different kinds of cheese, because goat cheese goes really good with maple, and it gives that creaminess, and you'll get a nice sweetness, and you'll get some tartness from the cranberry, the craisins, and so just all those different flavors that you're going to build in there after the fact. So you could use roasted nuts also. So.
Yeah. So with this year being what it is, we encourage you to follow the public health guidelines, more of which are talking about as Thanksgiving, to connect with your loved ones just like this. It's not the same as being in person, but by connecting by a telephone call, by a Zoom platform call, by sharing food, but not necessarily eating it at the same time. Well, you could even schedule a Zoom call and watch each other eat. Or you could schedule a Zoom call and you could divulge that secret family recipe that one person in your family's been holding out on you on. And maybe you could schedule a time like that for that recipe to be shared amongst your family members. Whatever you end up doing, please keep safe and do all the things that you can to keep distance between yourself and others to prevent the spread of COVID-19, to wash your hands frequently, to wear a mask, and to, again, support each other through all of this.
Very good tips. Yes, very good tips. Now, you're going to show us that roasted garlic, aren't you? That looks really good. I'm sitting here. I've got some garlic that I'm looking to maybe do that with. So I'm watching and waiting. Yes.
Yeah. So you can take and squeeze it out either hand, but squeeze it out. It's kind of sticky, so it'll get your hands kind of sticky. But it's really, the smell so good, and you can use it in mashed potatoes. You can use it on garlic toast. I mean, different things you can actually do this with. But it's nice with this because it adds a creaminess to this, and a nice mellow flavor. The roasted garlic flavor is so good.
Yeah,
you can smell the smell is really good.
Right. Well, that's a good one. The sous chef didn't get these in quite in time, and they should be, plenty soft. When you touch the outside of that foil packet, you should be able to feel the garlic give quite a bit. And I'll just take my fingers up to the camera so that you can see what the roasted garlic looks like and feels like. If you don't like garlic or onion on your hands, you can take a piece of stainless steel over to your sink and rub your hands up and down that piece of stainless steel under running water. And that'll take away the garlic or onion flavor and smell from your hands, just like that.
So for some reason, your squash, your garlic, if you want to add a little bit more oil at this point, you can, to toss it with your roasted squash. We can actually we can mash it with a fork, and then use a little bit more olive oil too for that, to toss it with your squash. So it's already roast stock there. So it comes up roasted. She's got a pan back here. So normally what you do then, we would toss the roasted squash in there like she's got on the pan there. So we can dump a little bit in here. So we've got some onions on here, some squash, and then the herbs. They're getting away on us.
Just like Julia Child would do, you just pick it up and rinse it off and go.
Yeah, let's go ahead and incorporate that in there. At this point too, if you wanted, there's some also some ideas to put with this, some cheese. You can also roast vegetables with it too, carrots and parsnips, things like that, and make a fall roasted vegetable also with the same base recipe. And then you can add, like I said, some cheese on top, some good fontina if you like, or Jarlsberg, or even some Gouda, just to add another layer of flavor there for you. So this is the squash. So it's very good. It's very good.
That looks fantastic. Oh, thank you for showing us. Oh, lots of really great variations on that. I really like it with the roasted garlic. That sounds like it would be wonderful, and I bet it smells good over there. So, hey, you guys, I know the Mediterranean cooking is something that you're very passionate about. Do you have some good places where you find your recipes and some good advice for us who may want to look for some more of those kinds of things?
Yeah, the Mediterranean diet pattern, and you can do it here on the prairie too. Mediterranean on the prairie is easy to do. We grow a lot of things here, like the squash that's grown locally. We grow a lot of beans and lentils and other things. We have lots of things from your own garden or from farmers markets when they're in season, or local food co-ops. So look for those food ingredients, local food ingredients there. And then one of our favorite places or websites is the Old Ways Preservation Trust, where they have a lot of the research on the Mediterranean diet as well as recipes. You can also find more Mediterranean style recipes at Eating Well, Cooking Light, Epicurious, and McCormick Spices are just a few other websites where they have special sections devoted to Mediterranean diet recipe ideas.
Good advice. Oh, thank you. We had another question too about the squash. Do the two squashes, the butternut and the buttercup, I'm trying to remember, do they have a big difference of taste or texture or any advice you'd share there?
Well, the butternut, hence the name butter, it's kind of more creamy. The butternut has more of that more of a creamy, buttery, not more of a nutty flavor. Okay. I think than the squash is more. It's creamy, but it's more depth.
It's a little more flaky. This texture on this one is a little drier and a little flakier, but also very good. Delicata is another creamy, newer type of squash with a thinner type skin and fun to use.
And you can cut that just like it is and eat the skin too. So.
Oh wow!
You cut it into long, into cross sections, so wheels.
Okay. Well, I generally save my peelings, or we do, from our squash, and we chop it up and make homemade dog cookies out of it. So that's what we do around here. So anyway, gosh, Karen and Duane, thank you so much. This has been so fun. Great to spend time with you in the kitchens and learn more about immune support cooking ideas. And thank you for sharing those great recipes. We'll have those on our Facebook post too. And we all are just going to do whatever we can to stay as healthy as possible. So anyway, thank you very much. And thanks for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. And we hope you'll all.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks guys. And thank you all for joining us. And we hope you'll join us again next month. We're going to be gathering again on Wednesday, the third Wednesday at 3 p.m. That would be December 16th. And we have a special guest who's going to be with us. His name is Dr. Paul Nussbaum, and he's with the Brain Health Institute. He is going to be talking to us about winter wellness and mental health. And we know those dark winter days are still ahead of us. And Dr. Nussbaum has got some really good advice for being resilient, being strong, and getting through this together. So please join us next month on Wednesday, December 16th at 3 o'clock for Passport to Healthy Living Winter Wellness. And remember that all of these programs are being recorded. You can find them on our YouTube page or our Facebook page at AARPND. And again, we thank you all for joining us today for the Immune Support Cooking class, and we hope to see you next month. Thank you.